Thank you, everybody, for the invitation and for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you for your time. And I will be short, so we have time also to talk. So briefly, just would like to present USAID Brazil. How many of you know about USAID? Have you heard about USAID? That's good. USAID Brazil is a small mission, different from many others. The focus of USAID back in time has been always development and assisting developing nations to get their development process moving forward. But I'll be concentrating on USAID Brazil here. And what's happening right now with USAID in Washington, the administrator, Ambassador Mike Green, focus now is to what he says is private sector engagement. What he means by that is that USAID wants now to transform and not just, it starts now challenging the concept of assistance, and meaning now we just don't want to donate funds, but we want to invest. That's I think that's a very good difference from terminology. But USAID Brazil, we became the first strategic partnership mission in 2014, and we like to say that we are now more of an agency that is catalyzing opportunities and developing partnerships. So we depart from the traditional donor's role and transform in a strategic partnership mission, and that happened in 2014. We were about 30 people in the mission. Now we're about 10. Downside. And we used to have several programs, but now USAID Brazil's mandate is to conserve the biodiversity in the Amazon. And for that, we have a budget of about $10 to $12 million per year. So we have to be really creative in terms of how to use it. It's very, comparing to other missions, we are really, really small. But our idea is to promote the conservation of biodiversity in the Amazon. That's our mission. And one way that we find to do it is through private sector engagement. And what for you would be the major challenges for the sustainable development of the Amazon? Anybody? And the conservation of biodiversity. How can we together conserve the forest?
Better law enforcement.
Better law enforcement. Good. Development model. Good.
Civil society capacity.
Exactly. Very good.
Good student.
Yes. Which is a challenge. I mean, all of these three points are it's a huge challenge. And I work in the field. I go to the Amazon all the time it's been the last 6 to 7 years. And it's interesting because one thing is what we learn in class and what we learn by, watching videos and watching movies and what people say. But the other thing is when you go there and you start talking to people and you listen to them and you learn from them. So that for us is kind of a change of paradigm, because we as agency, we used to say, okay, we got the money, so here's the traditional way. We're going to get this, we're going to ask for proposals, they're going to send the proposals, and then we're going to award, and here's the NGO that's going to implement it. The NGO go there, implement it. It's a project. right? And the project has a beginning and has an end, and has a certain amount of funds available, and that's it. So that's the traditional way that not just USAID, but all the agencies, international development agencies, work. We're trying to change that. We want to change that. And we're going to show how. So we were in the first strategic partnership mission within USAID. And here's the three pillars, who the Brazilian people that we want to work with, government, private sector, and civil society as partners. We understand that for the challenge, for the solutions that we're looking for, there's not going to be one entity or, one government or only civil society that's going to come up with the solution. It's going to have to be done through partnerships. How? We think that innovation, technology, science, it's key. We got to have that. And what do? We do through corporate social investments. And we also are going to show you something that we do, Trilateral Cooperation. That's a different another pillar that we have in the mission. But I want to go just through quickly on our portfolio. This is the protected area management. We have a partnership with the U.S. Forest Service, and that's to conserve the Brazilian Amazon forest and national parks. This is one project. Okay. Then we have biodiversity monitoring through Instituto IP. I think many of you may have heard about Instituto IP. Very good partners, very good partnership we have with them. And it's creating mechanisms and tools for monitoring.
Their neighbors.
Yes, yes, good point. Indigenous territorial management through EAB. That's another NGO, not a gator, not. But the idea here is to provide capacity and support through the implementation of the national indigenous policy, BNH. And then we have the partnership platform for the Amazon. So that's me there. That's my area. And we have created this platform. Actually, we'll launch it in December 2007. With the idea and with the goal that, as I said, we have to leverage, and we understand that innovation, technology, the best management practices, resources, that's where we should go. We have approached the government, and we're still very much a strong partner of the government, but the government in Brazil and in the state of Amazonas, they're really in not good shape. Not enough resources. Civil society, we also went to them and we talked to them, we're talking to them, and they're also coming to us saying, yeah, we want to do this, but we don't know how. There's no coordination in many aspects. So we think the platform, bringing the private sector companies to share with us and to provide us with what they need, what they have, can be a way that we can find good solutions. So the PPA was launched last December 2017, and we went. It's very interesting because for the first year, at the end, we provided there was a forum in November in Manaus, 13 and 14 that we held, and this forum was a forum for investment, impact investing, and sustainable business. what these guys here, this is the leaders of the PPA, what they have decided was to do this forum at the end of the first year of the PPA, aiming to identify that they want to concentrate in Amazonian startups. What we have learned from them is that they think the sustainable development of the Amazon and the conservation of the forests and biodiversity, one needs to be needs to come from startups, investing in the startups, and investing in people. So we also have the this is another project, Google Earth, and ECAM, and it's Indigenous, also Indigenous project. It's very interesting because this is Sitawi people, and they are looking at knowing and learning about ODK and Google Earth technology so they can see and have access to manage their territory. And we're helping them with that. The Sustainable Oil Palm Natura and Agroforest project in the northwest of Pará. And this is a science research project that we're in partnership with Natura. I don't know how many of you know Natura is a cosmetic, Brazilian cosmetic company. They're investing on how to better cultivate and do polygenic agropalm in an environment that does not destroy the forest. So this project, we're creating a technology and a way to do this with 17 different countries. Açaí and Giroba, and other trees and fruits that goes together. It's a very interesting project. Médio Juruá, we have a project with the value chains in partnership with Coca-Cola and Natura. This is really, really in the middle of the Amazon. So just to get there is 3-4 days. But it's a public-private partnership. Coca-Cola does heavy investments there. Açaí. And we have Trilateral Cooperation, which is ABC and USAID together, working in the third country. Marcel is here. He works on that. Corporate social responsibility, that's the Mais Unidos group. This is the model that we 10 years ago we kind of initiate the idea of private sector engagement. This started in a way that we were experiencing and talking to companies, mainly American companies based in São Paulo. And Mais Unidos became, for 10 years now it's an angel. So USAID kind of started the idea of engagement, and that's how we learn the model that we developed the PPA, the partnership platform for these companies. What we did was engage them to come together for a common goal. The area of Mais Unidos is education, not environment. And we started this in about 10 to 12 years ago. So dealing and working and talking, learning, sharing with these corporations, we found out that there were a lot that we could do together. And that not always, I mean, most of the time, they want to do something, they want to do development, but it's not their core business. One case, for instance, Ambev, the the Guaraná company. Ambev is a brewery, but also owns the Guaraná Antarctica brand. Guaraná is from Alves in the Amazon. Ambev wants to invest in Alves, but they don't know how. So they came to USAID and they said, can you help us? Because we want to develop a project there. What's happening there? The youth are leaving town to Manaus because there's no future in Alves. So we said, yeah, that's the reality. We want to be able to help. So we developed the project for Ambev. We connect them to and they said, what's a good angel that you could share with us to implement this? So this is to say that these companies, others, when you start talking to them, their CEOs they realize more and more that they have to act, cannot wait anymore for civil society or the government. But they don't know how. And it's not their priority. But they need, we are working with them to leverage and make sure that what they're doing is according to our standards. So every company that participates in the platform has to go through a due diligence process within the stream committee, which are USAID is part. But just to mention here that the Mais Unidos group, which is basically focused on education, they invest in language labs in federal universities, Brazilian universities. This is how everything in terms of our private sector engagement started. We start thinking about in practical way, how can we actually do partnerships and engage the private sector to do development. Then 2 years ago, finally they said, USAID did good work, we create this, but we want to take it over. We want to continue to do this. So they became an NGO. And we are kind of, we learn from this experience, start doing the platform, the partnership platform for the Amazon. What the partnership, the PPA.org, that's the site of the partnership platform. The result for the first year of the PPA was identifying startups, Amazonian startups. And for that, we put a call in June. And out of that call, Indezão was implemented. It's the implementation. For that call, we got 81 Amazonian startups that sent proposals for investments. And out of the 81, we select 14 that at the end of this last year, in the forum in Manaus, we select 4 to receive investments. So USAID was co-investing with other investors, Sitawi, Nest, angel investors in Amazon, to give the chance to these guys in Amazon, small business, to have the funds that they need to develop. And that's one of the way. 4 received the investments, and 10 are going to be incubated and accelerated this year. So what we're looking at, and other agencies, the Norwegians, the Germans, and they're coming. So to learn more about this in terms of helping the people who really needs the help. What we found out in the Amazon is that a lot of the businesses, the people that really wants to do good, they don't have credit to develop. There are money available, but Fundo Amazônia, for instance, BNDES is huge, but the ticket does not go up to what they need, which is 200,000, 100,000. They need small money to start. The ticket for BNDES, I think, is much higher than that. And that's where we found the need, and we learning from them, listening to them, we were able to identify that, and that's the forum. What the forum was able to do was to bring at least four of them for the first year to receive this investment, and it was amazing. I mean, they were crying because it was a Shark Tank type, I think, of event. So they had to do like 5-minute Shark Tank pitch, and they were trained for that, and all the investors in front of them. That was the highlight of the forum. The forum information about the forum is all the internet. But I mean, that for the first year of the PPA, that what we thought was a good deliverable of the platform. And we're going to incubate and accelerate 10 more Amazonian startups. Other two deliverables of the PPA was 2 studies. One study, which is already available, the scenario of the social finance in the Amazon. It's done by Sitawi, and I can share it with you guys later. And a study that we did on the Amazonas tax incentive. Amazonas state has Zona Franca de Manaus, and what they have there is a large number of companies that there's a special incentive tax law that they don't use for many reasons. And we did a study on that, why this warrants that. And we came up with the findings study. And we deliver that to the private sector, the company, so they can use that. An estimate of $120 million was there, the pocket there. They don't use to development, and all this money goes then back to the government. It could be used sustainability, for sustainable development, conservation. So we see the role of USAID Brazil now is for us to catalyze, to engage this private sector, but also promote the transformation of the NGOs, the implementers. So the NGOs now, Instituto Piabiru, Palmeiras, Vasco, Ilezanco, Mariano, they are NGOs that are really now on the forefront of transformation. Ilezan is now capacitating and training the incubators. They're going to do incubation. This is an Amazonian startup, Amazonian image. So this is just to share with you that things are transforming. Huge challenge, and we are trying to get along and get going in terms of adapting and not thinking outside the box, but also being able to gather in the belief that partnerships are the tool that will help us to get this to conserve them. And that'll be the how many, 20 minutes? Yeah. But I'll go back to, and I thank you for your time, for having any questions, but this is just a summary of the answer.